I go back to Clifton to see my old friends, the best people I could ever have met. Skin up a fat one, hide from the feds, and something's changing.
Tobacco is highly addictive, more than people, it's as bad as heroin really. When I came out of hospital, believe it or not, the first thing I wanted wasn't a meal or a cup of tea, it was a cigarette, and I did.
But you see, we live in this nanny state where none of us are allowed to make up our own minds about what we want anymore. And once upon a time, when I started smoking, we actually were allowed to make a choice.
If we're talking about choice, then it's a question of, do you make a healthy choice or an unhealthy choice?
So I kiss goodbye to every little ounce of pain. Light a cigarette and wish the world away. I got out alive, and I'm here to stay. So I hold two fingers up to yesterday. Light a cigarette and smoke.
This is one of the most modern cigarette factories in Europe. It was built at a cost of £10 million just over 5 years ago. Each and every day it turns out an incredible 105 million cigarettes.
With Players, it was like you followed on. My grandma worked there, my aunt worked there. It just seemed that the next stage, when you've left school, you would work at Players. I was not a big smoker, but once I started at Players, I would smoke more, because obviously it's not like now. We used to smoke in the office.
I started smoking when I was 18. I'm 72 this year. I progressed from 10 a day to 30 a day.
As a city, we have actually quite a high proportion of our population who are quite deprived, and we know nationally that more deprived people are more likely to smoke. So we have a particular concentration there, and people that we want to support to be able to quit smoking.
When anyone smokes, you're inhaling toxic smoke, effectively, or toxic air. So within that, there are many harmful chemicals. Over 69 of them cause cancer, and therefore giving you long-term lung conditions like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD.
Smoking is highly addictive, more than people, it's as bad as heroin really. 2013 I was diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer. When I came out of hospital, believe it or not, the first thing I wanted wasn't a meal or a cup of tea, it was a cigarette, and I did. And the nurse, they told the cancer nurse, she said, there's nothing you can do really, what you've gone through, but you must stop now.
There are places I remember.
You couldn't go anywhere where people weren't smoking. Parents smoked at home, pregnant mothers smoked, proud new fathers smoked. They smoked in hospital. When they went to have the children, everybody smoked in hospital. The doctor smoked. When you went to see the doctor, they had a cigarette on their desk. It was not possible for a child of my generation to escape this second-hand smoke. And my argument is, if it was that dangerous, none of us would be here. None of us would have survived. You couldn't get away from this pall of smoke.
A countrywide smoking ban went into effect in the UK on Sunday. The ban covers almost all enclosed public spaces. Smokers can no longer light up in these places, meaning the end of smoking in pubs, restaurants and workplaces.
Yeah, it's affected trade. People were staying in. They were going to Tesco's or supermarkets to buy their alcohol and drinking at home and not coming out. But now, I wouldn't have smoking in a pub, and I smoke myself.
Good afternoon, Ash. Amanda speaking. How can I help you?
Well, Ash was quite instrumental in the campaign to get smoking banned in indoor places and in public places. The point about secondhand smoke is that it is dangerous. There's strong evidence to show that it can cause the same diseases as in active smoking.
I had 2/3 of my right lung had to be removed because of cancer, which was caused by smoking. And I was in City Hospital for 14 days after the operation, post-op. It was horrendous. And when they pulled the tube out, it was like air come out of my body, awful. And they stitched it up, and I came back home, and for about 12 weeks I was stuck in the house, more or less, on and off. It was 2 weeks, I lost a lot of weight. And then gradually I thought, I'm going to have to do something about this, I'm going to die here. You know, my daughter was devastated, you know, to see me like that, because I was always been super fit. You know, I'd been in the Territorial Army. I was quite agile runner. So I thought I had to do something about this, otherwise I'm not going to make it, you know. I was getting very depressed.
We all know you can get COPD. I mean, both my parents have that. So it should make me stop even more when I saw both my parents. I mean, my mum's on oxygen and Dad was very poorly with it. And they both died through it, really. And even that didn't stop me. No, my mum's on oxygen in the house and I used to go outside and have a cigarette. I've tried everything. I've tried patches, gum, everything, but it was not successful. And then my brother-in-law, who smoked about 40 a day, he'd bought this vape pod, and I thought, if he can do it, I can. I don't smoke nowhere near as much as him.
Scientists are hailing e-cigarettes to be far safer than normal cigarettes.
Yeah, it's believed they can also help smokers curb their cravings and, in fact, kick the habit altogether.
I haven't smoked a cigarette in 5 years, and that was from the first day that I picked up an e-cigarette.
Since I've used e-cigarettes, it's just crazy how much you can tell, the health benefits and things like that.
Gone through the rubbish things that don't work and carried on smoking, then went sub home and I haven't smoked in over 5 years.
I've tried vaping and it didn't do it for me. I mean, that's the problem. They haven't found something that really takes the place of smoking.
This is a song about somebody else.
I've had it tough at points in life, and I have found, whether anybody likes it or not, that for me, smoking helps me deal with life.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
There will be some who are adamant that they are happy to be smokers and to continue. But to sort of suggest that they're some sort of social pariah is, well, no one else is saying that. They're saying it, they bring it on themselves. They have to accept that what they're doing is not only harming themselves, but potentially harming other people.
From personal experiences, I've had patients that don't know why that they are struggling to breathe, and they have always eaten healthily, done exercise and various things. But then you take more of a history, and they've grown up in a household where their parents used to smoke, and they have now developed chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
We're working really hard to introduce smoke-free places and where people want them. And certainly what we've started with really is that focus on where young children are. So the beach in the summer in the city where there are lots of children, and extending that this year to Splendour in the children's and families area. So this isn't about a total outright ban. This is about supporting people and particularly children to have smoke-free environments.
You can't have a product that's legal and yet think you've got licence to persecute people for smoking it in the open air. It's a load of rubbish. If it really is that dangerous, if second-hand smoke or even first-hand smoke is so very dangerous, then why don't you have the courage of your convictions and ban it?
Everywhere seems fresher, but I don't like what it's done to society. I mean, okay, obviously people are not going to be so ill and there's this, that and the other, but to me it's made society less friendly.
It's not a habit I would tell people to take up these days, but the effects of smoking on the person who is doing it have been known for a long time. If you make a conscious choice as an adult to enjoy that particular thing, however bad it is for you, regardless of the risk, then that's your right as an adult in a democratic society. Otherwise, we can live in a dictatorship. But that's not really the Britain I once loved.
I never used to have an inhaler. I have to take that because sometimes my lungs, I can't breathe, If I'm in, like, say, the Victoria Centre, I can last about 20 minutes in there, half an hour, that's it, maximum. Because the air conditioning and the amount of people in there, it's another thing what people have to face, you know, when they lose their lung, is you can't go different places, you know. You can't go in a plane or die in a plane.
We need to make sure that the government stays on track in terms of putting resources into tobacco control and not thinking, well, we've done tobacco, you know, we can move on. It's still a big issue and it's still killing people across the country.
Certainly, I would say in 10 years' time, there'll be, I mean, vapours will outnumber smokers, that goes without saying. I mean, smoking is dying a death.
Don't think anyone will smoke in 10 years' time, because it is going to, it's dying with as the elderly start to die.
The smoking ban in public places will probably go down in history as one of the most important public health interventions.
Right there in the details.
You could go through what I've gone through. You could lose your right lung, you could lose both lungs. You could die, you could spread all around your body. So I'd say to anybody that's smoking, just give it up, for God's sake. You could end up like me.
No, 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 no.